When I say don't compromise, I mean, if you know that you have a certain skill set and that skill set has been received,
Okay.
and you know you have a gift, it's okay to modify, but at the end of the day, don't change it.
Okay.
You know, for example, is Kendrick Lamar. You know, perfect example of just how Dre let him be him, and then ultimately look at where he is now. You know,
Okay.
and then shout out to all the independent artists. You know, like what's the gentleman's name? The one that's just does so many shows. Shout out to JF. I'm going blank right now. The gentleman who does like 300 shows a year, and he just stays relevant. A hip hop artist, but he's very alternative. The name will come to me in a second. But there's a movement of folks that constantly they cut across the culture and a corporate line, and they just stick to them. And again, it's all about finding your niche. You know, again, you have to be creative. You can learn by example, or you can learn by failure.
Okay.
Okay, and failure is not such a bad thing. I think that, you know, I always tell anyone, my mentors always told me, he says, you can't talk to me about how to constantly win if you haven't taken an L. I don't need to keep hearing how to win.
Right.
Winning is fine, but there's also a process in winning.
Right.
And in order for you to win, you got to know what it feels like to lose.
Right.
You know, I remember Puff talking in his commencement exercise, and that's what it was. It was a marathon. You know, he said if he had finished those last 2 years at Howard, he would have been a little bit more sharp in some of those business meetings back in the day.
Right.
You know,
Right.
so I guess the checklist for an independent artist to get on is make sure that you are fully aware of who you are as an artist first. Presentation is extremely important. In fact, to me, that's the defining factor.
Exactly.
Don't come to anyone within a position of strength with a CD. CDs are archaic. No one listens to CDs anymore.
And I'm glad you said that, because I have said that. I say that over and over. Yes. And remember, I was telling you about business cards. One of the things that I have found too, and I had thought about it, and then it was nice because I had gone to the seminar, and this big person had said the same thing, that when he goes to networking meetings, he brings like 5 cards. Now, it may be 100 people, but what he does is he only gives his cards to the people that he has spoken to long enough to develop a relationship. And then he hands his card. But as far as just handing out cards, I have since not do that, because a lot of times folks, and I mean, I'm not saying anyone else has to do this. It works for me. I find that I just limit it, and I focus more on making that relationship. You know, I think that's more.
Yeah, there's something called digicards. You know, again, everything. The word that I want everyone to remember today is monetization. Okay, everything needs to be monetized.
Monetization.
Monetization. Everything needs to be monetized.
Use that in a sentence.
Right, and the thing is, I feel like back in school again. All right, you know, like for instance, real quick, I'll just touch on the label that we have, Mission Control Records. It's not just a distributor. We're not just a distributor. I have a huge platform. My platform is phenomenal. We have Netflix, Hulu Plus, Flip, all of the different ancillary pieces that are necessary to make your presence in social media cutting edge. We have underneath our platform, and then we have the back support to support that.
Okay.
And that's the reason why that's so important in terms of being able to make sure that an artist has a fighting chance. Because it's not that, you know, you're independent.
Right.
It's hard enough to be independent.
Right.
But being able to be successful, or what you deem successful,
Right.
that's a whole nother story.
Right.
You know, so what I did over the last 2 years with my partner Lee Davis is to be able to put together a platform that the labels use. So the same partners that the labels use, we use as well. So like for instance, getting paid off of YouTube, being a YouTube partner. We've partnered up with YouTube and some of their top partners, and we're now able to get a competitive rate for all of the videos that some of these independent artists have. And the great thing is, when we come to the table, we're not just putting artists out, but we also provide a resource to artists that are not necessarily looking to sign an MCR. They're just looking to use a piece of my platform to get out there. Like right now, wouldn't it be nice if you had a documentary on your grind to be able to put it on Netflix and have it downstream?
Right. But isn't that, aren't we then getting right back to that corporate life?
I don't believe that corporate life is such a bad thing. You just got to know how to play with the corporate life. Corporate life is not going anywhere. I mean, you know, corporate life is almost like it's an oxymoron, because it may not be something that we agree with, but it's something that we have to coexist with. And coexisting with the corporate life is a good thing. When we rely too much on the corporate life, and the corporate life pays us well, but we don't have any decision-making capabilities, and all of a sudden you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't say, yeah, give me $1 million, but now I still want to be creatively inclined, and I want to call my shots. No, they've invested into you.
Right.
Okay?
I have a say.
A big say. In fact, the only say.
You know what I'm saying? You just sit there.
Right, and just relax. Right. And when I get my ROI back, then you can start talking.
Then I can't hear you. Right now I can't hear you.
Right.
I can't hear you.
So one of the things is, and I give, shout out to, Kathy Hughes for, just her grind.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go back to 2000 when she went public, and, I used to co-own the building where WOL first started.
Wow.
On 4th and K Street.
Wow.
4th and 8th Street, Northeast, yes.
Okay.
I don't think used to own a recording studio there.
Wow. Okay.
And I remember her used to being in the window back in the day.
Right.
And look at where we are now.
Exactly.
And even with her partnership with Comcast, that had to happen eventually. You can't get to a certain point without somebody recognizing your skill set and coming forward. So this falls right in line with what we just discussed a minute ago. You just got to know where and how to play. But when you get to that corporate piece where that crossroads starts, again, your team has to be in place, because the better your team is in place, the more smoother that transition is going to go into.
You're not trying to develop your structure while it's
they're complementing your structure. They see your structure, they like it, and then what they'll do is they'll go in and they'll let you know where they fit in. Versus them leading the conversation. And that's the difference. That's what a joint venture is. And most joint ventures work well when both partners are bringing something equal to the table.
Exactly. And working. And as a team, I have to depend on you, that you're working just as hard on your part, and I'm out there working on my part, and we're bringing that together and moving forward. Sure. So I hope you indie artists are out there, you're taking note. This is Robert Ross. We're going to give you the information if you want to, follow
definitely.
up and talk further. Yeah, go ahead and let's
just real quick, Robert Ross, the name of the business is R&R Entertainment. My website is www.randentertainment.me. Entertainment spelled out. Google me. I'm very viral, so you won't have an issue there. The name of the label is called MCR.
Okay.
It's called the label MCR.com. You'll be seeing a lot of different things. We have a compilation coming out. 5-6 artists that I believe that we're going to run with.
Okay.
One of the artists we signed a Bad Boy, so I'm looking forward to seeing how that's going to go. He's a writer.
Okay.
He wrote for a lot of different people back in the day.
Okay.
And we're putting out a compilation in late August, early September. I'm excited. G-Man, who's actually one of my clients, he's got a very up-and-coming label. Shout out to Intellect, shout out to Terrific, one of the best producers I've ever met. He's got a lot of different things going on. Terrific's doing a lot of TV placements.
Actually, Terrific, did he produce J.A.?
Oh, he got a song.
Okay, they did a song together. Okay, all right, and we got another artist coming out there. So okay, that sounds good. So it sounds like a lot of big things are happening, and we want to stay posted. Well, we've already talked, so we know we're kind of going to be.
Yeah, let me throw that address out there real quick.
Okay,
5335. If you guys are in the DC area, my address is 5335 Wisconsin Avenue. I'm in Suite 440, right across the street from Neiman Marcus, Upper Northwest. My phone number is 202-478-9688, and my toll free is 1-888-556-4736.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the world of hip hop. I know we've had a few conversations about this, so we're going to switch gears just a little bit, and let's talk about hip hop, where it is, where it's been, where you think it's going. And if I could say, now you mentioned Kendrick Lamar, and there was an award show maybe about a year or so ago, and it was it Macklemore and what is the guy who I think I'm not going to say cheated them out of the award, because you can't say that, but the dynamics of that, I know there was a big backlash with that hash.
Independent rules. I mean, he made the statement that he went straight without any corporate support. I mean, it happens. You know. Kendrick, although independent, has a corporate machine behind him, and that's the reason why he propelled. And he's a great artist, But the bottom line is, when you have an independent movement and you have a grind, it's almost like a tsunami. You can't stop it, And Macklemore just ran. They ran with it. Yeah. You
got to stay relevant and consistent.
And you learn how to do that.
Yeah.
You learn how to do that by survival.
Right.
That's the thing about being independent. You gain this seventh sense. And if you're good at being able to actually tackle and embrace change, then, and here's the funny thing, if you're corporate and you want to stay independent, the issue is that sometimes you can't embrace change because the corporate piece won't allow you to.
Yeah.
So there's a paradigm shift there, and you got to be real mindful of how that shift goes. You always have to have an exit strategy when you're with a corporate piece. That's why, when I'm always negotiating a deal, there's a time structure involved because I need to see how long I want to be married to you.
You're right.
Okay, there may very well be a point where I may want, to break that union up.
I'm just laughing because that's a concept, even in actual marriage. Let's do this contract here for
the
like
7-year itch. That's not by accident.
Let's see how this works itself out.
So I think with that being said, hip hop icons. There was a very without going too much deep into what happened a couple of weeks ago. There was an altercation, well not altercation, but a very lively discussion between Dame Dash and Funk Flex. Mm-hmm. Okay. Flex had the corporate opportunity, he had the platform to that Dame. Mm-hmm. Okay. Dame fired back. Shout out to Combat Jack, also entertainment attorney, and he gave Dame the following day his say-so. Mm-hmm. Dame laid it out. Laid it out. He laid out some very strong points. One of them being that, listen, understand the backstory of what happened before you start, moving forward. And then he also mentioned that, in a corporate structure, when you have someone of age who's still in the same space all that time, that's a comfortability piece. I love Flex. I'm from New York. But, let's call a spade a spade. At the end of the day, you have certain hip-hop icons that need to be, the word I'm thinking of is tribute.
Okay.
I have a major issue with certain folks like Chuck D, Marley Marl, folks that have paved the way that don't get their just due. Right. Okay, shout out to Backspin, thank God for that, because what it does is it keeps our culture relevant. And for me, growing up in the Bronx, and me being in my 40s, I grew up around hip hop. I grew up, literally watching these guys, and to the point where right now, folks like Puff and folks like Jay and folks like, Dr. Dre that now are in a position where they're multimillionaires that came from one specific rule, the folks before them.
Exactly. Yeah.
And to me, like even with Russell, one thing that Dame brought out, and this is public record, he said at the end of the day, there were certain executives that were part of Def Jam that would not give Russell his just due. Russell was Def Jam. Okay? Russell never should need to ask for anything when it came to anything regarding Def Jam. There should never have been a question on that. But when corporate structure took over, things changed. Okay? And to me, I like the fact that, now with technology being where it is, certain legends have the opportunity to now get back in the frame of things. And I think that that's what hip-hop needs right now. Hip-hop needs a spiritual kind of sense of, yes, that's a perfect word. And I believe that those folks need to be the guard for hip-hop. No one ever thought hip-hop would last this long. Right. No one ever thought that we would be going into our 35 or 40th year anniversary. And we're at a point right now where it's saved a lot of lives. Okay? But what we need to do is we need to give back to the culture. And I don't like the fact that the corporate culture has come in and is dictating the way hip-hop should be.